Jira ships with default workflows, which can be used as is out of the box. But much of the power of Jira lies in workflow customization. Each of the three Jira applications, Jira Core, Jira Software, and Jira Service Desk, ships with project templates from which new projects can be created. Each project which is newly created from a project template gets a set of schemes based on the default schemes for its project template. Some of the associated schemes are shared with other projects, and some, including the workflow scheme, are unique to the project. This means that they can be modified and the changes will not affect any other project. Bottom line, when created from templates, projects get default workflows which are unique to those projects. They are not shared with other projects unless later changed. Let's look closer at these defaults. Here you see the default business workflows for Jira Core project types. The task management workflow just has two statuses, to do and done. The project management workflow shown in the middle goes from to do to in progress to done. And there is also a process management workflow as shown here. A set of default statuses are used by the default workflows, including to do, open, in progress, under review, done, closed, canceled, and others. Shown here are the default workflows for software project types, which use the simplified workflow by default. They all use global transitions, which allow any status in a workflow to transition to any other status. And developers can freely drag issues between columns on a board. The black label which reads all besides each status indicates that it is a global transition. The simplified workflow is easy to work with, but can only be used if a board represents a single project. Jira software boards are tied to the underlying workflow of their projects. The top shows the sprint board in a Scrum project. The bottom shows the underlying workflow. The workflow statuses are represented by or mapped to columns. Issue cards are moved from left to right as they progress through the workflow. The goal is to transition from the leftmost column of a board to the done column. Note the connection between columns and workflow statuses. Columns can have the same or a different name than the map status. And multiple statuses can be mapped to the same single column as shown here, where both the resolved and closed statuses are mapped to the done column. It's crucial that you map all statuses to columns. Otherwise, issues in unmapped statuses will be hidden from the board. Board administrators can configure the columns. They can add, remove, rename, delete columns, and change the status mapping so it better represents the workflow and clearly shows where in the process the work currently resides. To add a status to a board, the project must be using the simplified workflow. Adding a status to a board adds a status to the underlying workflow. We will discuss this later in the presentation. Meanwhile, the three Service Desk project types, Basic, Customer Service, and IT Service Desk, offer their own set of default workflows. Here are two of them. We will discuss Service Desk approvals and automation in a later module. As we have seen, there are many great default workflows to start with. But what if they don't meet the needs of your team? In that case, you can customize your project workflow. Here are some examples of additional requirements. Only developers should be able to submit an issue for code review. When an issue is resolved, I want to see how long was spent in coding. And I want the issue to show which developer implemented the change. These requirements could be met by adding conditions, validators, and post functions to various transitions in a custom workflow. And throughout this presentation, we will learn how to do that. There are many conditions, validators, and post functions available natively out of the box in Jira. But apps in the Atlassian Marketplace, formerly called add-ons, can greatly extend that native functionality. They provide even more of these elements to satisfy complex business requirements. Different apps are available for cloud, server, and data center hosting options. Some apps are free and others are paid. Note that you need Jira System Administrator's global permission, not just Jira Administrator's global permission, to update or install an app. You can find and install new apps via the Manage Apps tab of the Jira Administration menu. Vendors often offer a free 30-day trial. You can search apps in various ways, such as by highest rating, most popular, or staff picked, as well as by categories like admin tools, whether it's paid or free, or just by its name. This slide shows just a few of the many popular workflow options. This presentation mentions workflow solutions that rely on the use of marketplace apps. We will not be mentioning the vendors by name, since your requirement will differ, and multiple vendors sometimes offer similar functionality, so be sure to check out the marketplace and compare. Note that you can also create your own conditions, validators, and post functions by building your own app, but we don't cover this in this presentation.